the Hybrid Saiyan team finally comes together with one of the hypest releases since Broly, 100 days of Dragon Ball Legends, and Android 16 explodes into the scene as one of the craziest tanks in the game's history. Stay tuned while we uncover the month of September 2018 in today's Legends History episode. The month of September started with the 8th Super Space-Time Duel, where we could farm Z-Power of a new Yellow Extreme First Form cell, who actually came with its own Scout Battle event that same day. That new cell wasn't anything crazy and only valued for one reason, his Z ability. He gave max health to Android tag units, so he was mainly just used as a bench unit for that team. That new Space-Time Duel also came with a new equipment, an equipment for the Regen tag, giving units of that tag more base crit, key restore speed, and additional defenses against Android units, which I guess was alright. Like, not the best equip, since PvP was mainly dominated by Saiyans at the time, but the Android tag was for sure still very strong, and arguably was the second strongest team in the game. 2 days later, and Legends had reached 100 days since its global release. And to celebrate that milestone, they held a special login in this campaign that lasted 10 days. And as you can see, the rewards were pretty cracked, and you were able to choose 2 of them every day. I personally remember going for the current crystals, obviously, and then I think I rotated between the different Z-powers. Like, I'm pretty sure Yellow Gohan was like the best character here, but Goku had the best team. Like, all of the rewards were decent, so it really depended on what you needed at the time. We also had the first Master's Pack banner that same day, a crazy banner, since it included Super Vegeta and Trunks, and every Sparkin that released before them. And that banner came with its own ticket version, but you couldn't get those tickets from daily missions yet. You could only get them from the Rare Medals shop, and at the time you could get about 30 of those tickets from the Rare Medals shop, and as far as I remember, those tickets resetted every new PvP season, or maybe that came in like a future update. I don't remember. We'll have to wait and see. That banner also came with 4 new extreme units, and they were pretty good. Yellow Bardock and Yellow Frieza were pretty much watered down versions of their Sparkins counterparts, so they were actually not bad. Like, I remember Bardock being like one of the best extreme character in the game at the time, but like obviously nothing absolutely crazy. Then Zarbon and Dodoria were just cracked support type units for Frieza. Zarbon gave 50% blast damage to Frieza's characters when switching out, and Dodoria 50% strike damage. Like, those buffs were ridiculous, but unfortunately the best Frieza in the game was Blue, and Bardock and Super Saiyan Goku were still the best units in the game. So yeah, that buff was good, but not enough to be able to deal with them. Another 2 days later, and it was time for a new Legends Rising banner, but not any Legends Rising banner, the banner that introduced Super Saiyan 2 Gohan into the game. This was for sure the hypest release since Broly. Purple Gohan was a melee type unit, and a unit that was actually heavily undervalued on release. People just didn't understand how strong he actually was, because it's true that at first glance, his main ability and special moves weren't anything crazy. Like, his main ability gave him like an ultimate skill that completely stopped the enemies from healing for 15 timer counts, and most of the top tier teams at the time didn't really use characters that healed. His Z ability also gave strike attack to the Hybrid Saiyan tag, and like, sure, Gohan was exactly what that tag was missing, and the Hybrid Saiyan team was definitely like a viable team now, but it still just wasn't like on the same tier as like the Saiyan or Android's team. So him having a Z ability that buffed that team essentially made him look bad and worse. But what people didn't understand is that this guy didn't have to be used on a Hybrid Saiyan team. As a matter of fact, he worked best on a Saiyan team with Bardock and Super Saiyan Goku, a Goku that actually buffed him if you remember. And since both him and Bardock were strike units that held 2 strike cards, there was some level of synergy here. You could even replace Goku with Super Trunks if you wanted even more strike cards on your team. And the thing that really made Gohan crazy was obviously his unique abilities. His first unique ability gave him additional buffs based on the numbers of down enemies and allies once he enters the battlefield, and his second unique ability gave him 10% damage for 20 timer counts every time he got hit. And I mean every time, even if it was just a key tap attack. And you can guess that this could ramp up pretty quickly. And on top of that, he had an additional 50% damage the first time he got hit when below 50% HP. Like, this was just disgusting. Like, that guy, once he was the last man standing, was just the hardest hidden unit in the game. And then his green card also protected him from debuffs for 15 timer counts, while giving him even more damage. So that guy just couldn't be stopped. Like, you could generally sweep the enemy team with him if he was one of the last units on the battlefield. Like, he just did so much damage, it was crazy. And his stats were also insanely good. So yeah, that guy that guy was just a monster. As like a last man standing unit, that guy was just a beast. Blue Super Saiyan Goku was also a melee type unit and actually served the same purpose as Gohan. He was a last man standing type of card. His special move had a ridiculous 50% damage buff. His main ability made him draw a blue card, boosted his own key recovery, and gave him more special move damage against Broly units. A little bit too late for that, like Broly wasn't out of the meta yet, but he wasn't like a top tier unit anymore. Then his green card enhanced his next blue card, and the buffs depended on the amount of remaining allies you had. The less allies alive, the greater the boosts, and the card had a very low cost of 9 ki. But on the downside, the cost of his green card was increased by 5 each time it was used, up to an additional 15 ki, which was pretty unfortunate since this guy had a very bad base ki recovery speed stat, and his unique abilities gave him an additional 20% damage and made him draw a blue card when 2 of his allies were defeated. So the guy was good, and I remember him being pretty decent like his first month on like a mono blue team or the Saiyan team. Like he gave base strike defense to the Saiyan tag, but then I just don't know what happened, like he just fell off like crazy. Probably because of like his base ki recovery speed, like it was pretty low, one of the lowest in the game for like a sparking unit, so yeah, that actually kind of held him back. Extreme Purple Orochi was a very interesting card. He introduced the Dragon Ball Saga tag and gave it a pretty massive buff, and then it had such a cool unique ability, Sunglasses, making him immune to flash, so he was immune to the Solar Flare green card. Like this was a pretty cool idea, not anything like meta breaking, but a cool idea. And I remember him being like an actual like viable card in PvP, like not the greatest card, but like he was alright. Extreme Pan and Hero Roshi weren't anything special though. Like I guess Pan was a cool addition to the female warrior tag with her Z ability, but that was about it. 3 days later and it was time for the update 1.14.0, a pretty big update actually. The update renewed the daily missions, like it increased the amount of Chrono Crystals they give every day by 10 and added the Master Box 1 ticket as a daily reward. So this was huge as you would guess, like that banner had some pretty good units at the time, so getting free tickets every day was very hype. It also added new bonus battles that rotated every day of the week, and they gave a ton of souls, so this was the new best place to farm souls. Almost a week later and they added a new story event with a new farmable Extreme Vegeta, and as you would guess, some new equipments. Vegeta really wasn't anything like crazy and worth going over, so we'll move directly to the equipments. The first equip was for the yellow type and gave units of that color strike attack, base ki restore speed, and additional defenses against Saiyan characters for 20 timer counts. So yeah, this equipment was clearly made for the yellow Android 18. Like she could use literally everything that equipment had to offer, and she was still pretty decent on the Android team. The second equip was for the blue type and gave units of that color blast attack, special move damage, and additional damage to Saiyan tag units for 20 timer counts. So the equipment was clearly made for the new Super Saiyan Goku and Broly. I think even Frieza could use it. Like Saiyans were so dominant at the time that any offensive blue character could honestly use it. The third equip was for units of the Sun family or Super Warrior tags, and it gave them strike defense, blast attack, and base ki recovery speed. So a decent equip. Like I'm pretty sure Purple Gohan could use that, even though he was a melee type unit, because the guy had a pretty decent blast base attack stat. The last equip was for units of the Frieza's Force tag, and it gave them strike attack, blast attack, and base ki restore speed. So yeah, an equipment that was good on any offensive Frieza's Force tag units. It was also time for the 9th space-time duel, where you could farm Z power of the green Extreme Turles, who got a scout battle event that same day, and a new equipment, also for Turles. That new gold equip gave Turles' units base blast attack, additional defenses against units from the Sun family tag, and base health. So genuinely a very good equip for Purple Turles. But from what I remember, Turles still didn't really have like a decent team he could be run on at the time, and he himself wasn't really on the same tier as like the recent Saiyan units they released, so this didn't really do much for him even after his recent buffs. Another week later, and they released a Saiyan themed banner featuring all of the most popular Saiyan tag units, including Green Bardock and Yellow Spur Vegeta. So yeah, that banner was crazy, and they knew that, so the banner was only available for 2 days. 2 days, bro. What kind of FOMO was that? Like, that was just crazy. But yeah, the banner was probably worth a couple of multis just because of Bardock. Like, Vegeta and Goku were very good, but they were mainly just stats, so they were eventually going to age out, and it was probably going to happen sooner rather than later. But Bardock's main ability was just so good that the game was probably going to stay relevant longer than them. Before the end of the month, we had the 5th Ultra Space Time banner, and it came with 4 new units, and they were all pretty good from what I remember. Green Goten was a melee type unit who held 2 strike cards, then his special move gave him additional strike damage, and also had a chance of fating the enemy, something that was pretty annoying on the green Super Saiyan Goku, so that was definitely good. Then his main ability was pretty interesting. It basically destroyed all of your blast cards and gave him 50% damage per blast card destroyed, up to 200%, and then made you draw a new card. So this was actually a pretty broken main ability. It definitely required some thinking and RNG, but in the right scenarios, this could be just so cracked. Like 200% damage. Like that was just crazy. Then his green card gave him additional strike damage, while also reducing the cost of his strike cards by 1 for each battle member of the Hybrid Saiyan tag. So he was made to be used on the Hybrid Saiyan team, a team that he actually buffed with his Z ability, but also a team that was actually pretty cracked now. Him, Trunks and Gohan were really what that team was missing. As for his unique abilities, the first one gave him 20% strike damage for 30 timer counts from the start of battle, and his second unique ability gave him 40% strike damage with an allied Trunks on your team. So he was clearly built to be paired with the new Kid Trunks. Like with him, that guy was absolutely nasty. I remember pulling both of them at the time, and like the damage this guy could dish out was just something else. But you could also pair him with like any other Trunks, as far as I remember. Like it didn't have to be specifically Kid Trunks. So yeah, that guy was very good. The new yellow Trunks was basically just the ranged version of Gohan. His blue card gave him blast damage, but instead of having a chance of fating the enemy, it just reduced their key recovery speed, so not as good as Goten, but still decent. Then his main ability reduced the key recovery of the enemy by 100% for 10 timer counts, then gave him 75% gauge recovery speed when his own health was higher than his opponent for 10 timer counts. It's actually a pretty nasty main ability when used correctly and like at the right time. His green card then gave him 10% blast damage and reduced the cost of his blast cards by 1 for each battle member of the Hybrid Saiyan tag, so a very good green card. And just like Goten, his Z ability also buffed the Hybrid Saiyan tag, and he literally had the exact same unique abilities as Goten. It's just that they gave him blast damage instead of strike attack and required an allied Goten battle member instead of a Trunks, which was definitely worse, since Goten only had like one viable card, but Trunks had many cards at the time. So yeah, the guy was very good. Not as good as Goten, but still a very solid card. And bro, like I already said, those two paired together were just absolutely crazy. Blue Piccolo was a range type unit that held 2 blast cards, and the guy was literally just a counter to the Android team. Like literally, that was his whole purpose. Like his blue card countered Purple 17's cover change ability. His first unique ability debuffed Android tag units once he entered the battlefield, making them take more blast damage. His second main ability just straight up gave him 50% blast damage against Android tag units. His green card gave blast damage to his whole team, and his main ability not only gave him more blast damage, but also removed the unfavorable elemental factors, meaning he was type neutral against a green unit, so that guy couldn't even be countered by a green Android type unit. Green characters couldn't do anything. Like the guy was honestly just absolutely cracked against an Android team. And with the release of Android 16, that team was now better than ever. So this was actually pretty good. The only problem is that his Z ability buffed the regen tag, but that tag wasn't quite there yet. It still needed like a few units to become like an actual viable tag. But yeah, he was definitely still very good. Android 16 was, from what I remember, the best unit on that banner. Like the guy was just cracked. His main ability gave him a special self-destruct card, just like Chaozu, but that card did an insane amount of damage, because the rest of his kit just buffed its damage like crazy. But not only that, his self-destruct card also gave Gohan characters 50% key restore speed. Like the synergy this guy had with Gohan was just insane, since like I already explained earlier, Gohan was a last stand unit. So if for example, you and your opponent had 2 units left, and that you managed to hit the enemy with 16's self-destruct card, well then you just won, literally. Because Gohan was going to come into the battlefield with all of his buffs maxed out and an additional 50% key recovery speed. Like this was just an insane synergy. Like this was crazy. Then 16's green card gave him 30 key, but also buffed his self-destruct damage. Same with his blue card, it also buffed his self-destruct damage. Then his first unique ability was a very strong cover change, giving him 50% damage reduction until the end of the enemy's combo, while also recovering 50% of the damage he took as HP. Like, what were they thinking? Like, what kind of cover change ability is that, bro? Like, that guy was straight up like the best tank in the game, especially with his stats. Like, bro, the guy was just insane. And since his ability buffed the Android tag, like, bro, it just pushed that team back to the top, like, literally. The Extreme Goten and Trunks were also not bad for extreme units. Like, they synergized well together and had decent stats, but as far as I remember, nothing crazy. The month ended with the update 1.15.0. That update added the forfeit function in PvP. Crazy to think that this wasn't a thing at some point in time. Like, you couldn't even FF in PvP. Like, if that's just crazy. They also added the equipment ranking system. Equipments could now go up to the Z tier if you had like all of the slots maxed out. But honestly, I don't even know if someone actually had a Z tier equipment. Like, you couldn't reroll equipment slots. So to have like a Z tier equip, you had to be like so extremely lucky, like another level of lucky at a time. Like, from what I remember, most players just had like A tier equips, and if you were like very lucky, you had like an S tier equipment. Or if you were like an absolute crackhead, maybe you had like full S tier equips. But the Z tier, yeah, that was just something else. Now, this is it for today. In the next history video, we'll cover the first ever Legend Step Up banner, Super Saiyan Shallot, and the grand arrival of Super Gogeta. But until then, take care. Peace.